Alright, today is a pretty special day, guys. We have an R32 GTST Skyline, and we're releasing our new RB series Adapter Plate and Flywheel combo. This works not only for 350Z, but also the internal concentric 370Z and G37 models. We're the only company on the market to have the adapter plate that houses a dowel pin system for the internal slave system. And today we're going to show you how to install our flywheel, our single disc flywheel system with a 350Z transmission into an R32 GTST. As you can see here, we have the adapter plate already installed on the RB25, and the dowel pins are already there. Everything's already fastened up correctly. Something very important to note is the notching of the transmission. Right here, we have already notched out the transmission specifically for the starter bendix to kind of protrude into the transmission area, and so that notch kind of allows that front portion of the snout to kind of sit nicely inside the transmission without interfering into anything. We designed the flywheel to work also with factory flywheel fasteners as well, so this flywheel down here will fasten on pretty easily and go on according to factory torque. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put the flywheel on. Notice there's a pin hole right here to register the flywheel onto the crank in the correct angle. Just kind of get it on there. We're going to start putting the flywheel bolts in. Now, we went ahead and put all the flywheel bolts in hand tight, and we're going to go ahead and apply Loctite 242 under the threads. You only need about a drop or two right on the end right there, and it'll run itself back all the way around. And then now we just stick it in. You got a very small window of time to get it in before the anaerobic sealant starts to set, so you want to make sure that that's in there. And your torque wrench is set between 90 and 105 foot-pounds is what the stock RB pattern should be done to. So we're going to go ahead and hold the flywheel. Do a very smooth pull until it clicks, just like that. Now we move on to the next one. And a star pattern all the way around. Alright, next is the pilot bushing install, and to do this we're going to go ahead and install this right here in the center of the crank. It's very important to use proper PPE to protection to anytime you're using a hammer or any type of projectile like a flyback can hurt you. We're using a snap-on 16mm socket. It seems to line up really well with the bushing, so we're going to leave about 2mm sticking out towards the transmission side. This is so that the input shaft has enough area to kind of glide on it properly and center itself when installing the transmission. Here we go. Periodically check to see that the depth is correct. We're almost there. We're there. So what I see is the approximately 2mm sticking out from the end of that wedge so that it correctly can seat the input shaft from the transmission. Now we're ready to install the clutch and then put the transmission on. Okay, we got the clutch started, and very important to note is when you're installing this to just double check every once in a while that the alignment tool goes in and out very easily in order for it to guarantee that the transmission is going to go in and out. So now we're going to start our two-step process up to 26 foot-pounds. So you're going to do 13 all the way around, and then you're going to do 26 all the way around. And you're going to use red Loctite at the very end on each individual fastener to make sure it goes in correctly. All right, so we got all these kind of worked down to 26 foot-pounds in the star pattern. We already did 13. Now we're going to go ahead and pull each one out, the Loctite on it, throw it back in. Got this one loose after we just torqued all of them down. We're going to go ahead and put Loctite on it real quick here. Throw it back in there. Use a 12mm socket. Good. Good here on the torque wrench. Alright. Set to 26 and we're good to go. Okay, very important to note, this is the old system that we used to use when you had a cut bell housing. We used to mill the bell housing down 14mm. The new system doesn't require any type of milling. So now we're going back to the conventional bearing here. So the way that I personally do it is get this needs to be inside the fork here and properly located in, push that in like that, pull those together until it snaps right in. Once I got that kind of dialed in, make sure that that's good, then you can go ahead and set this onto the OE bearing accordingly, just like this. So then take the system here, and this goes on just like this, where we would essentially slide this on here all the way until it clips on like that. Then you feed the fork in directly underneath it, just like that. So now the fork can pivot and ride on this heat-treated section of the release bearing here. So now all you do is you just feed this in just like this. Make sure you put some lube right here. There's some existing lube right there. Just lube up the inside of the trans here. Not too much, but just enough to where it makes it good. And get some fresh valve in there, just enough. You don't want to use too much. You want to lube up the splines with a little bit more higher viscosity grease from ACT or Tilton. They all have like a good setup. So, all right. So then you essentially just feed it in. Once you get this onto the slider here, and you know it's pivoting right there, just go ahead and hammer it in, and it'll click right in. And now it pivots real nice and easy right on that system there. And then you're good to go. The next thing is we're going to show you how to install this whole system. Very important, if it's on a GTST or any vehicle where the RB is already installed, we went ahead and put a small tranny jack to kind of tilt the motor back down a little bit to make it a little bit easier to install. If you don't do that, it's almost a nightmare to get it in. But also we already hammered in the firewall area. For your S chassis or R chassis,
you have to kind of take a hammer to it in order to get it to fit in there correctly. You also have to hammer this area right here and right here in order to get the bulk portion of the trans to fit in correctly. Our mount's already installed, so this should be pretty easy. Also, pro tip, drop the subframe down as much as you feel safe. We're going to do it to where we have definitely a safe amount of threads, but we got a few, maybe like 1/4 to 1/2 inch that we can drop this down. All right, second attempt. Oh yeah, right in. Here, go up higher a little bit. There you go. It's very important not to pull the transmission in with the bolts, but rather to push it in by hand. Even if it is, yeah, keep rotating it at high angle until you get it. It's the clutch splines that you need to engage properly here. Wiggle it left and right. Rotate it. You got it?
Yep.
Sweet. All right, sweet. So it's
Almost there.
and push it harder, and yep, and it's in. Okay, now we can secure with a bolt. Just go ahead and hold it real quick while I grab a fastener. We're using a 15mm socket, and this is going into the very top.
15?
17. Okay, so now that we have that in, the clutch splines are fully engaged. We're going to go ahead and hand fasten in all the fasteners. And in order to get this one in, we did have to drop the subframe just slightly. This is something you need to do with a high degree of safety. If you've never done this before, please get somebody that has done this before, because it could be very dangerous. Don't recommend doing that if you've never done this before. So other than that, the other easy way is to pull the entire engine and transmission out and install it all as one unit. It'll go in very easily at that point. And we still have to fasten up the subframe bolts here, but the majority of all the engine bolts are in. It's very difficult to see in here. Let's see if I can zoom in, show you guys. We got all those in there up top. Very important to run these brackets here that come on your RB so that the plate has as much rigidity as possible. And this is the Collins Performance Technologies cross member working on an R32 GTST. All right, that's pretty much it for our GTST install with the 350Z transmission and our new RB to 350Z Adapter Plate and Flywheel combo. For any more questions, go ahead and email us at brettwcollins@gmail.com or hit the contact page at collinsadapters.com. Below in this video, you'll see a link where to buy the kit. And if you guys have any questions or comments, just go ahead and comment below.